What's going on, guys? Alec here from Oz Fury Gaming. Today I'm here to talk about the 4 cheaper starter packs that we can get in Star Citizen, so let's get cracking, shall we? To start us off with, we have the Aurora MR. This ship is at a $45 US price tag or a $60 US price tag. The $60 comes with a Squadron 42 pack, both come with 1000 UEC. Now, compared to the Mustang here, the Aurora is infamously called the Space Coffin because of the way it looks, but also too, it's a bit heavy handling. It can carry cargo underneath the rear hull there, and also too boasts 2 size 1 guns each side of the vessel, which are fixed mounted. But one unique thing about the vessel for its price tag is it can carry a size 4 missile rack on top, so you can mount 4x2 missiles or 8x1 missiles. Now as we enter to inside the ship, we got the little ladder here. Now compared to the Mustang, it actually has a bed and has a fairly similar cockpit otherwise though. The beds will be basically used as a save point if you're not quite familiar with Star Citizen, so it's really handy to have that if you were planning to do sort of jumps between different systems and doing a bit of cargo moving. I really wouldn't recommend this ship as a fighter. Now they've got an updated model coming for the Aurora, so this is not a final fixed point, and because the game is still in alpha, will be in beta and then eventually released, the stats and the way this ship looks and handle are all subject to change. Now we'll move on to the Mustang after seeing that. Now that's at $45 US without Squadron 42, and it comes at that $60 price tag with Squadron 42, and the same thing around with the UEC there. Now the Mustang is a dedicated fighter. It can carry a little bit of cargo. It has a turret on the front, so you can get that gimbal mount happening. And as we see here, the cargo actually hides away a bit nicer than the Aurora. Now on that gimbal mount or turret mount on the front, size 1 guns, as well as under the wings here. But it does make for a different fighting style compared to the Aurora. It's a bit lighter, and also too, it's a bit more unique in my opinion. It's manufactured by Consolidated Outland, which only build the Mustang at this point in time. So as we enter into the ship there, we go up the ladder and we come up to the pilot seat. As we can see, there's nothing else around, but it does have this Consolidated Outlands embroidery both sides of the vessel. Now again, to the seat is a bit glitchy. They're working on all the animations and all that sort of other work for 3.0 and further to come, so don't be too worried about it. Next up on the list is the Reliant Call. At 85 USD is quite expensive and does not come with that Squadron 42 pack, so you have to be spending $45 USD to pick that up. And it's a unique ship, definitely. More unique than the Mustang in looks. It's quite a fancy ship really when you compare it to the other 3 ships here, I apologise. Boasts 2 size 1 guns, again fixed mounted, but on the end here it has a unique fitting. It has a size 3 fitting, but technically it should be able to mount a size 4 when we go into ship customization, which we'll look at a little bit later. Now moving on from here, we'll go into the inside of the ship and actually have a real good sticky beak at what's available. Now obviously it can carry cargo and it has an interior cargo bay unlike the Aurora or the Mustang, and it does look quite snazzy in my opinion. Quite a low roof as well, but trying to keep the space and weight down, I can understand that. Now there's no bed on this vessel, but it does have a co-pilot seat, and the access points to repair things are quite easy. So, and a really good field of view as well is available to us. So as we go to enter into the pilot seat here, it can be a bit buggy sometimes, so I had to cut it. As we can see here, we have the bit drop down from the top. Now it should come all the way so we can see it a bit better, but this is what we've got at the moment. Now next on the list is the Avengers Stalker at $75 USD. The Avenger is a whole series, but the Stalker is the bounty hunting variant. Now it has 6 security lockers where you can lock people up. I call them lockers because in a second you'll see what I'm talking about. But they come standard with a size 1 gun on the wings with size 2 missiles both sides. The gun at the front is the size 3, which we'll take a little bit more of a look at later. And as we enter into the back here, you'll see what I mean by I call them security lockers, not really prison cells, because look at how small these things are. Now, they do look quite snazzy, but these things can be pulled out and used for the Avenger Titan. The Avenger Titan is the cargo variant, and as we go up into the middle of the ship there and fall down, we'll attempt to get back into the middle section again. The ship can be a little bit buggy, but the Titan, from my experience, has never had this issue. Now, the other variant is an EMP device ship. All it does is fly and detonate its device, and that's called the Warlock. It hasn't got a huge amount of purpose, so I'm not going to really show it in this video. because if you plan to go and EMPing people for the entire game, great for you. You can go check that out elsewhere. But this is for guys who really want to, and girls, sorry, who want to get into the game and start having a bit of a career with these ships. Now, after having a look at the Stalker, we'll jump in and have a quick look at the Titan. Now, the skin on the ship is a Renegade version. It's not the standard. And also, too, these guns I put in here don't come standard with a Renegade or anything either. It's what I've just put on afterwards, which I think are the best. There are a set of Badger repeaters. Now, the gun on the front here, like I was talking about, is actually a size 3 gun. It's called the Tiger Stripe T21. Now, being a size 3 gun, it does reasonable damage, but it's a ballistic gun, so it will eventually run out of ammunition. Now, unlike the other guns that are shown on the other ships from standard, they are energy based, as they will never run out of ammo. So the ballistic, yeah, you're going to be in a bit of trouble because it does run out of ammo. Now, as we enter into the back here, we'll note that, hey, it actually looks exactly the same as the Stalker, just, you know, without the prisoner cells there. So there's that. And then we'll enter up into the midsection again. This is exactly the same as the Stalker, and so is the cockpit. So with this being said and done, we'll jump into some ship customization and gameplay with what I think is the best guns for these ships. So here in the ship customizer app, I've brought up the Aurora MR. Now there are 5 different variants of the Aurora, and all of them can get a paint job. Now the size 1 guns, I like to mount Bulldog repeaters according to the guys at Renegade Squadron. With their ship stats and everything, these guns should have the highest DPS. I like to think of guns as more DPM than DPS really, because if you're engaging in the PU, I'd imagine you want to try and stay alive, so you need to try and work more on not so much a shorter time frame, but a longer time frame with survival. Now for the missile rack, I like to mount size 4 missile rack with 4x2 size missiles, and Rattlers at that. The Rattlers are unique in the fact that they shoot at 1 solid missile as well as 7 little ones when they get close to the target. The little missiles shred shields and armor, allowing the bigger missile to do more damage. Quite overpowered in the state at 2.6.3. So we head into Arena Commander here, and I just want to note how the whole cockpit array is set up, how everything is so easy to see. Compare this to the other vessels and get an idea of what might work best for you and how you want to tackle the ship. So now what we have in our sights is an Aurora LN. The Aurora LN is a militia variant of the Aurora and boasts of much better firepower simply because it comes standard with that size 4x2 missile rack, as well as 2 size 2 guns on the wings, as well as the size 1 guns underneath. So when we're going up against here, it is a bit of an equal playing field considering these are AI and they're not that hard to beat. And I want to note too that the positioning of the size 1 guns on the Aurora does make it quite easy to track targets, even though it has that heavy handling sort of feel. So as we try and negotiate through space with this ship, I would like to just remind you guys that I've probably spent close to 200 hours plus playing Star Citizen. So if your accuracy doesn't look like this, if you feel like you're not playing too well, my advice is just keep practicing and learn the ship that you want to fly. You know, understand the weapons you want to use and see how they work in the verse. But keep in mind too that the way it handles in one patch, it may not handle the same in the next when they change physics or change the guns balancing or even ship balancing stats. So after killing that second Aurora there, I'm going to move on to taking on a Gladius. The Gladius is as far as I would want to go in terms of meeting ships with higher firepower. You know, if you start going against a Hornet or anything, you're probably not going to do too well. Now I've locked on here with a Rattler, and you'll see what I mean by how it just really disintegrates targets and shreds that armor off as we see the debris flying into our field of view. Now next up is the Mustang Alpha. What I like to mount here, guys, is those Bulldogs again. They do quite a lot of damage, and because I've fixed mounted those 2 guns on the wings, because that's all I can do, when I go into squad Arena Commander, I like to actually make these guns all fixed mounted. By doing this, you press Alt and J, and that allows for the guns to stay in the middle of your screen. Otherwise, the guns that are fixed mounted will follow the point in the middle, and the turret will actually follow where your mouse pointer is or where you're looking. So as we can see too, the ship's much more maneuverable and definitely gives those Auroras a hard time. So we'll take up against Aburn here, which is like a boss version of a Gladius, and he's quite tough and quite a good pilot too. So this will take a little bit. Now, in my opinion, this is when the Aurora comes in. Even though it's a bit slower and hasn't got the same top speed or acceleration of the Mustang, having that missile, especially when you're trying to get out of a sticky situation, really comes in handy here. when if you especially like in a 2v1, it can make the difference if you land a good missile, such as a Rattler, on your enemy. Now the Mustang has a much better field of view without those icky bars in the way, but this can also be a cause too for being shot through the canopy and actually bleeding to death whilst flying. It's happened to me in the Aurora as well, but mostly in a Mustang actually. So as we finish off that bloke, we'll head with the Misc Reliant Call. And here I was talking about before with the different ship weapon mounting. So it says you should be able to mount a size 4 gun, but you can't. It just doesn't let you in game, perhaps later on, but just doesn't want to do it. Just does not want to do it. So what I like to do then is just mount up a size 3 gun. The I apologise, the Panther Repeater, which is the size 3, is my choice. And then yet again, put on those Bulldog repeaters on the size 1 guys, so we can do bulk damage. So when it comes to the ship customizer, if you've got a lot of weapons, there are actually filters that you can press to help with that, which allows for the ships to get armed quicker and not so much of a pain. So as we can see here, we're flying around. This is what the Reliant Call looks like when you're flying, like when you're out of that landing zone or landing sequence, like we saw in the hangar. It's quite unique, and it doesn't quite have side to side as it does up and down, probably due to the way the engines rotate. As we can see here, this Aurora is actually outmaneuvering us as we go sideways. But if you start to get a bit of a twirl or a pitch happening, and you start going up and down with the ship, you start being able to track targets a lot better. So I want to make that point that the handling on the ship is not the same as any of the other ships, and does take a bit of getting used to. Now my ship that I love to fly is a Sabre. So going up with this ship was quite a pain because it's quite slow and quite heavy to really negotiate space with. Like I thought an Aurora could be, heavy handling, but boy oh boy, did this thing give it a run for its money. Now having those big wings too makes it really hard for flying in close areas such as this asteroid field. I don't have any gameplay video of that happening, but it's happened to me before on other playthroughs. So as we move on from that Aurora there, killing up, we go on against Mr. Aburn again. Now, I haven't sped this up or anything, and I basically just get really lucky with my shots most of the time. Also, too, a bit of help from the AI definitely came in here. But yet again, just trying to track targets. Those size 4 guns would really make this thing very, very unique when they actually implement that from CIG. But with a size 3 gun, I don't really feel like it's worth that $85 price tag for the game package. Now you can buy the ship separate for $65 USD, like if you wanted to CC you up. But yet again, I will talk about that at the end of the video. So as we can see here, this Gladius is really giving us a hard time outmaneuvering, but we just about got him, so yeah. When I mean got him, he runs into us. Nice one. So I'm just going to quickly speed up the rest of this as we decide to do a bit more damage and try and have a bit more fun, showing off the ship. And I wouldn't recommend the ship, guys. If you like the look of it, go for it, but it's just not my cup of tea. Now my favourite ship is the Titan, or the Avengers series ship, and simply because of the weapon mounts and all of the other biz. So like I said, I've got this Badger mounted on the wings, they're size 2s, ballistic gun mounted on the front, and I've got Rattlers mounted on the wings again. So there's 4 of those bad boys. Now the Titan isn't as heavy as an Aurora, but it's not as light as a Mustang either. But that's mainly due to the fact that it's got a fairly decent inline speed, and it's got a lot more armor on it in comparison. But we can see here the firepower is definitely brutal. Now I sped up this video to 3 times the speed to quickly give an indication, for the sake of time, of what it's like to fly this ship. Now, we destroyed the Gladius with a missile there, but the Mr. Aburn gives us a really hard time again. Like I said, he's actually a decent pilot. And I just wanted to iterate too that I'm not a big fan of the cockpit of the Avengers series. Note the radar's really hard to see. You do have a good field of view, but you don't know what your weapons are doing, what the ship's handling like. But the shields and hull integrity is up in the top left-hand corner, which is a bonus. So with this all being done, let's talk about CCUs. CCUing is literally taking a ship that you have and then paying the difference to get a ship that is better. So with the Dragonfly Black here, note that I can't get anything less than $35 because it's the Dragonfly Black's price tag. But I can pick up the Aurora LN, which is the same price tag, or I can pick up, say, the Mustang Beta, which, by the way, the Beta is a exploration variant of the Mustang. So that sort of things is what it's about. We have the Aurora CL, which is a luxury variant. I wouldn't pick it up. I'd rather the LN personally. And then we sort of look down, and here we have the Titan at $50 US. Now, if we go down, we'll find the Stalkers at actually $60 US. So if you buy the Stalker pack, you can't go back to the Titan hull, but you can buy the module later on in-game. So what does this mean? Well, personally, I'd rather buy the bottom pack, say like an Aurora or a Mustang with the Squadron 42, than upgrade to the Avenger Titan for that firepower. But if you want the Misc core, it's $65 USD. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and got something out of it. I hope you liked the video. If you do, please leave a like, and have a comment too if you want to talk about the video. If you disliked it, there's a dislike button, and leave a subscribe too if you want to see more. Thanks for joining in, guys, and I hope to catch you guys around the verse. Toodaloo.